Welcome to Sequence Week 14, a podcast about Final Fantasy XIV, of course. This is episode 122, recorded on June 25th, 2015. And today we are talking about Heavensward impressions. Imagine that. Don't worry, we won't be ruining anything related to the story, like some other people, but instead we are going to talk about our impressions. Maybe shout out some complaints, probably from me mostly, and perhaps some praise to boot. We also have some news and whatnot, but let's just get started. I am Shinaux, your host for today, unfortunately for you, but we also have with us Calera.
Hi! I'm alive.
Back from the dead.
Mm-hmm.
And we have Orofen.
Hello.
This is some kind of streak for you, right? Is this like third week?
Oh my
Dude, man.
gosh, it is!
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just.
Bro.
Are we doing something right now? What is? Oh, are we doing a show?
It's a show. We're live. We're
doing
not
a podcast
live.
now?
We're disc drive live, as in recording.
I gotta go then. If we're doing a podcast, I'm out of here.
I could say so many things, but I am gonna be good because
We also have Siri.
Hello.
I thought for a moment you were Riz.
Hello.
Oh, wait,
It's
Riz
not
is
a
here.
bad Riz impression.
I know, it's a really good
Whoever
Riz
did that.
impression.
I try.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started because I'm sure people who will listen to this will want to just go ahead and get it out the way and go back to playing, like us.
Mm-hmm.
First, let's do some news. There was a letter from the producer basically summarizing his thoughts and feelings about the launch, and there were some pictures included of the collector's edition. Not much we didn't know, right, guys?
No, I mean, except, and this is going to be like a little minor complaint, and it's not really even my complaint, because when I think about it, I can't really complain because I don't have a lot of room, but apparently the Japanese got it better than we did.
Yeah, the fold-out box we saw at FanFest, or not one of the FanFests a long time ago, that was a Japanese exclusive. It was not NA CE. I'm looking at my box, and while it's pretty and square, it doesn't open up.
What am I supposed to do with a square? What am I supposed to do with a square box?
You shouldn't be mad about that. You should be mad about not getting the PS4.
Oh, I already got it.
You got the collector's
Oh,
PS4?
no, not the collector's edition, which would be nice, but unlike some other people who have been having a hard time getting theirs loaded, I actually got mine, so I'm happy. Because I've been laying down and resting and playing at the same time. Don't ask me how that works. It just does. It's better than me sitting up and being like, I can't breathe.
Just as another summary, his letter was his traditional heartfelt, expression of how he feels and his thanks to the players. It's nice to see him continue that tradition and to just give recognition and to be relevant and make appearances, even though he's really busy. It's still something unique to our community, and no matter even if it's brief and whatever happened during early access, it's appreciated, I think, universally. Otherwise, there are a bunch of articles released for interviews with Yoshi P, things we already know. You can seek them out if you'd like them. We're not going to link them in the show notes. I'm sure you can find them, guys.
Actually, the one thing that I'm really happy that he did was to include a 1.0 screenshot of Curtis.
Oh, I can't believe I glazed over that. That was really kind of like heartstring kind of moment.
I mean, yeah, it was a huge thing because when you compare the screenshot to then and now, it's like so different. I mean, Ishgard itself is the same thing, but when you look at the gates of where it was, where it leads to, it's like, oh my gosh, it's totally different. And it's it's really amazing. And for me, I was kind of like, oh my gosh, that's where we came from. Like, I don't know. I guess I was getting kind of weirded out. Like, that's like the womb, and now we're out. And never mind, because this is going weird. And
That's really. I do not want to look back into the womb. I'm sorry. That's really creepy.
The amount of time it takes for you to go anatomy in this podcast just gets shorter and shorter.
Hey, I am talking about appropriate anatomy and physiology here. Okay.
I'm naming this episode "Looking Back into the Womb."
And we have a title.
At least I was not talking about,
Looking back into the scrotum.
That'd be worse.
That'd be way worse.
That'd be. Let's not go there.
It's like a Doctor Who episode in the beginning.
Well, in honor of our season 3 inaugural episode, I kind of went through the dev tracker. Most of it was just the community team members addressing some complaints from players, and on the forums there are aplenty. But one that stood out was the issue that PS4 users who purchased a disc copy of Heavensward, who then installed it, were greeted to errors when they went to play. This only affected players who installed the game prior to the maintenance the night before launch. So there were a whole bunch of issues. If you're one of those individuals, if you go on the forums, there's a link to a form page that you can fill out, and you'll be compensated with a Fantasia.
That's it?
That's it.
I mean, at least they gave you something worth like $10, but still, it feels pretty lacking in terms of like compensation.
One Fantasia.
What would you want to have?
Yeah, that's just it.
What
Like, what do you really give?
with?
Like a special minion that gets relegated only to them? That's silly. So
No,
at least
I
it
mean,
has like a monetary value.
Yeah. I guess I mean I don't know. I mean, it was the salute. There was at least a fix to the problem. I'm assuming, right? Because otherwise, people would be more up in arms. I know I had problems activating just the expansion because I didn't know that I had to go to downloads and then download it from there. Even though I already downloaded it from PSN, it seemed so convoluted. If it weren't for Bayonne, thank you so much, Bayonne. You're probably not listening to this podcast, but thank you
Special treatment.
so much.
Teacher's pet.
I try very hard.
That sounded a bit dirty.
Excuse me.
That's number 2.
He's a married man, and he has a really cute wife.
Okay.
Anyways, if it weren't for his help and other people who are on Twitter who, pointed me in the right direction, I probably would have a broken PS4 at my feet because I was really frustrated at why I could not play Heavensward on the PS4.
Well, they fixed it pretty fast. If we kind of look back to the 2.0 launch, there were people who couldn't access the game, and they gave them 7 days of game time. Now, this probably did not affect the same percentage of users, but considering you can get a Fantasia in the cash shop, you're looking at about a $5 compensation. I haven't looked it up, but it's about
$10.
there. It's $10. So you got a $10 discount if you kind of think of it that way and do the mental gymnastics.
Which sucks for someone who doesn't want to change their character, but at least if you ever really, really, really wanted to, you can for free. If you didn't get the collector's edition already, and I already have a stockpile of Fantasias sitting somewhere in your bags.
Which you're going to use when you change because you're tanking.
Actually, no, I'm not, because I'm finding I'm really liking my RR right now.
I did log and note one complaint or a concern that you weren't sure how you felt tanking as an Aura.
It's gotten better. I think because at first I wasn't really sure, but I've been doing it more, and it's I think she's kind of badass looking because I changed her eyes slightly so that she's not. She had one complaint I have about the aura is that a lot of them have like really deadpan looking eyes. And so I purposely chose the angry looking eyes, but my eyes were a little too angry looking, so I made them less angry looking. They're kind of more like still like, grrr, I am a dragon lady bitch. And yeah.
Well, since there's no other news, let's just move on to the discussion, and we'll use that as a transition. You made an aura. Anybody else?
Everyone else in here.
Pretty much everyone here.
Okay. I have not, so I'm going to let Orphan start off and give me and our listeners your impressions of the aura.
They're fine, I guess. I mean, I don't know what kind of impressions you want me to give about them. Just a race that have horns.
Well, what were
Yay.
you playing before?
I was playing a Lalafell.
Did it change your experience at all?
I just had a dude that was bigger. He looked somewhat better in armor, but that was going to be the same in any size. I still kind of prefer Lalafell, but I mean, it's all right.
Let me kind of give you, not related to aura, but what I'm kind of asking. I once Fantasia'd to a Rogadin, and I found that the movement was slow. It appeared to me, I know that it was all relative, but the movement was slow because of the character model size. Everything kind of just seemed laborious. And I know it's the intention of the developers, but it wasn't my thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And-
I mean, like, I can see what you're talking about because I remember it was another member in our free company, and he said he hates the way that's how or maybe it was Siri, I can't remember. They hated the way that, or maybe it was Lulu, how male aura run because it seems like they should run faster than they currently do. Like the body movements looks like they're doing a sprint or a jog or something, but they're not. It's kind of like they're running in place, slowly moving forward. It's weird. It's really weird, and even I admit it's kind of like, shouldn't you be going faster?
Well, a
little
lot of their poses are male aura poses are weird, and their dance is some kind of weird fit that they're having with their legs. I mean,
This is true.
I think there were a lot of better decisions they could have made to make Aura seem. I don't know if they were trying to make Aura be the quote cool looking race. They don't really
Beefcake.
look cool. They're just tall guys with
No,
weird
they're cool because they
movements.
have anime hair. It's like, oh my gosh, look at all the anime hair.
You don't even like the anime.
I do. Well, okay. In my defense, the anime hair you chose was all. It made you look like a vegetable, and so
Sorry,
of course,
if
didn't
I
like
want have weird fire hair blowing in the wind, I think that's cool.
Wait, so you're saying he was had a turnip on his head or something?
Yes, he had a turnip. He
It was not a
basically had
turnip.
the Goku hair.
It wasn't even Goku hair. It was like Super Saiyan hair.
Well, the same
cloud hair.
thing.
No, not Cloud hair. Super Saiyan hair. It's different.
It's Super Saiyan Goku hair.
Bitch, I look like Goku.
Well, Keller, you kind of gave us our impressions. What would make you go back, and what wants you to stay in Aura?
What would make me go back would be the Lalafell. If I were to go back, it would be to go as a Lalafell because their emotes are so more expressive than the Aura. I mean, you have to really study the face closely in order to see the minor changes in the emotes. It's kind of weird. I mean, there are other things which are really cute, like their blow kiss is really adorable. I like it. But the facial emotes are just really kind of like, what? Huh? There's nothing really different here. But what would make me stay is the fact that it is what I had talked about in podcast episodes prior to launch, basically, where I've always wanted to have something between a Mikote and a Lalafell, and I got that in terms of height. I chose the shortest female Aura, and it is indeed shorter than a Makote, but taller than a Lalafell. And so I'm happy. I found the perfect medium where I don't feel like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get dizzy because look at everything just swirling around me. And yeah, I have a huge problem with that, with the camera angles. And yes, I know I can change them, but if I do it too high on a Lalafell, I can't see my character, and that becomes a problem because then I can't tell if the tethers are on me or if someone else and other things. So yeah, I'm happy.
Siri, what about you?
I was really looking for the Aura. Anybody who follows my Twitter saw the Aura Twitter competition that I entered, and basically I made a severely stylized version of myself. The scales on the lip kind of representing the mustache, and the haircut and the color of my skin. Basically, it's me if I was actually thin and sexy. So it came out pretty good, and I was super excited to be an Aura. The only, I guess, concern I have is I'm a little taller than I had actually anticipated. So I'm considering using one of my Fantasia to maybe shrink myself a little bit, because the guys are a little on the tall side, and I've actually seen some footage where in early access, if you chose the tallest size, there was a small little animation error where it looked like you were gliding across the ground rather than actually running. So the farther you are from that max height, I don't know if it's been fixed yet or not, because I've not max height, the less impact that actually has. So I want to shrink down just a smidge. I think I'm a little too big.
I remember it was so much fun trying to get my head to pop out of your stomach. It's like, let's see if I can get my head to pop out of his stomach because he's so tall.
Yeah, in terms of going back to another race, I think the only race that may actually like Siren Song me might be Rogadame, because it's probably one of my favorite races in the entire game. And there's so few of them out there that actually, are represented.
I am. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go.
I really want to be a Rogadame. Like, no joke. Like, I really want to be one, but they're so tall. They are too tall for me.
They are a little on the tall side, and that's the problem I have. Like you were talking about, Shinaux. The larger you are, the more lumbering you feel. Like the animation is there, but you feel slower. Like on a Lala, you feel expeditious at all times. Like you're running with a purpose. But on these characters that are bigger, like you feel lumbery. It's why I don't use the Behemoth mount.
It's why I don't play Warrior, honestly. It's because the animations make me feel slow. Maybe I'm sensitive to it.
No, they're slow. They're so slow.
Have any of you used the Aesthetician? Because I remember hearing that there would be different horn options implemented there.
There can't be, because horns are tied to faces.
Yeah.
I swear I don't remember where, and I guess I'll have to look it up, but I remember they were addressing a complaint about there being limited horn options based on which clan you were associated with, and that you would be able to change it. Maybe it's planned for the future. I just wondered if anybody went in there and played with it.
No.
I've not heard that, but I'm actually teleporting in there right now to go find out. That is silly. That should not be. It shouldn't be that you create a character with a face linked to horn, and then in game you actually change the horns. That doesn't make sense.
You can't do that. No, I've been in there several times. The only thing that you can change is your scales. You can change.
Maybe it was the scales, because I remember this being tied to the same complaint.
Because you can, like the horns that I have are kind of like the bull horns. They go forward, and so for that face type, you can choose to have scales, like further scales on your nose, which make it look more pointed, and on your chin, so it almost looks like a face guard sort of. And I chose only to have one on my nose instead. So instead of just having that weird flat-ish faceplate on between my eyes, I have now a pointed faceplate between my eyes. That's about it. But yeah, you can only really change the scales. You cannot change your horns unless you do a Fantasia, because horns are tied to the face.
There, I'm not going to run back now because you answered that question.
And I think that just remains a general. If you have to fault something in Final Fantasy XIV, and there are things, the character creation remains mildly limited. It's better than a lot of MMOs. I think we can all agree, but there could have been just a little bit more to make it better. More faces, more shapes of faces, jaws, eyebrows. Maybe I'm spoiled when I played City of Heroes, but I just wish they would eventually give you more options.
I mean, I would agree with that, especially because the aura, it's a really damn shame because the horns are tied to the faces, and dependent on what kind of horns you get depends on what kind of scales you get on your face and on your body. Some of them are more prevalent than the others. If you get the horns that go are almost streamlined going back, I believe it's the same horns as, all of a sudden I'm blanking out. Yeah. Then you won't have as many face scales. If you have the ones that I have, you'll have more face scales. If you choose the one that makes me think of a fish, I think you get more face scales. I can't remember, but
you get more face scales than that, yes.
Yeah. That one just kind of weirds me out. But
well, the other problem with tying the horns to the face is that the horns, actually, the base of the horn is where your earring populates from.
Yes.
So if you have a small earring, like the bomb earring, like something really cute and cosmetic, depending on the horn you have, it'll actually block the horn. I'm sorry, the earring. So the behemoth horn, the earring that drops in the zoo Fate in Western Corthus, I got it the other day. I put it on and I couldn't see it because my horn actually clips through almost all of it.
Yep.
And I can't change that because if I want to have the mustache scale, I have to have those horns.
And the other thing is that, and this is just for me personally, this is how I personally feel about the aura, is that a certain horn is very popular with a lot of people. And that's probably because there's less face scales associated with it. But then everyone has a dead fisheye look.
Yeah.
And it drives me fucking bonkers. It's like, oh, so if you're a male who has a female aura, are you thinking about fucking a dead fish? Because that's kind of gross.
Wow.
So
that's a jump in logic.
Hey.
We've reached tier 2,
guys
Calera.
who are playing Makote, and they're playing Makote because you're like, oh yeah, I get to look at that ass. Am I wrong?
Makote's had their ass toned down in 2.0 though.
Yes, but they're still looking at that ass jiggle.
Probably.
This is the Calera I missed last week. I'm glad you're feeling better, honey. I missed you.
I'm glad I'm feeling better too.
I have 2 more points and then we can move on. I haven't been playing much because I started a new job, but I haven't seen as many auras as I expected. Not including the fate grinding. Let's just generally, in the general open population, I've kind of not noticed them, maybe? Would you guys say you've seen a lot of them?
I guess for me, it's hard to say one way or the other because I play a lot with my free company, and a lot of my free company have turned to female aura. It was kind of funny. Like, we had a party and all of us were female aura, including the male player who has a really cute female aura. I am the only... Is it Zayan that's the black horns?
Yes.
Yeah.
The Jayla?
Mm-hmm. So, I'm the only black horn person. No! There's someone else.
No, I actually don't see very many either. And I can't say I'm super surprised. Because this game is, you can do everything on one character. You don't have to have... The necessity for alts is not required. You form a really, really deep attachment with your character. So there are people who are die-hard Lalafell and they'll never change away from that. People who are die-hard Makote and never change away from that. And even though the aura looked cool, it wouldn't feel right to them in the story they've created in their heads or just their gameplay experience to kind of swap that character model.
I know I feel that. Oh, go ahead, sorry.
This is the reason why I have an Elezen that has the same hair from 11, a similar face structure that's aged, because I wanted it to feel like it's the same person, because I'm the same person. And even though I played with the character configuration, I just can't bring myself to do it. I like them, but I feel like I would have a personal disconnect with the franchise, so I just can't do it.
And I completely sympathize with that because in my head, and this has been going on since I changed to a Makote to better adjust to the height and to be able to basically do endgame rating, is that since my character has changed from a Lalafell to a Makote and now to an All-Ra, there is this weird disconnect that I feel. Like, I know it's my character, and I really love my character, but it's sometimes I'm kind of like, what? And then I have to go like, oh yeah. And then I have to like actually mentally teach myself like she's an All-Ra now. She's probably gonna stay as an All-Ra. Get it into your head, Kala, because you're not gonna change again. No, don't change, because that's bad. And so when I think about like a past, like, well, how did the All-Ra what like I'm thinking lore and everything, and it sometimes it feels weird, and I have to try and correct it or justify it in my head, which I know sounds really weird, but that's how I'm kind of going through the change from being a Lalafell to a Makote to an All-Ra.
Anybody else have any last comments on Aura?
Nope.
Okay. Well, any MMO expansion launched doesn't come without its server bugs, login errors, and whatnot. The biggest thing I had to contend with was trying to log in, getting the data center cannot be reached, and immediately kicked out to the desktop. I was almost enraged by the amount of times I had to put in my one-time password.
Oh, I had that rage too, like on, what was it, 2 a.m. Friday morning? And then I decided I'm gonna go to bed after like what was an hour, and Siri goes, "Hey, it's up." I'm like, I'm going to sleep.
Okay, here's my thing with the launch and the early access and all of that. You know, you have your numbers, you have your 90Ks, you have your 2002s, you have your 5006s, whatever. They all existed. There's no escape from that. It's a glut of people trying to access a server, whether login or world or zone at once. Even with advanced preparation, it's almost impossible to avoid. Now, that being said, I have been around for almost every major MMO expansion or MMO launch since 2000 or so. So that's every World of Warcraft expansion. I was even on the Terrible 20 when it first launched, and that place was a fucking nightmare. Rift, Guild Wars 2, Terra, blah blah blah, RF Online, like go on a whole list. This has been one of the best goddamn launches I have ever been part of. Once you were in, it was solid, and if you knew how the tricks to kind of get around the error messages, like talking to your retainer, you were technically in forever. And even if you logged out, because I did log out that first night, so I logged in around 3:30 in the morning, finally was able to get in. I played for about 4 hours, logged out, and then I logged back in on Friday afternoon around 4. It took me 10 minutes worth of one-time passwords, a little frustrating, to get in. But once you were in, there were no emergency maintenances. There were some glitches and some bugs, which we'll probably get to later, but nothing that was mind-rending and world-shattering. It was impressive, it was stable, it's remained stable. The only maintenances have been planned, and I'm super, super impressed with how much effort Square Enix has put into this.
And it should be, and I agree with you, it should be noted that we're on the highest populated data center. And the other one, I can't remember the name of, but we're constantly overcrowded. And you're right, once I was in, I had no issues. And maybe besides that crashing, I saw a login queue, and it actually made me happy to see it because I know that my favorite game is thriving.
Yeah, I mean, and if you look at it across all the servers, they have a decent amount. If you include all the data centers, of all of those, only I want to say it was a small handful, around 8 or 9, had initial login issues where you could not access World, and that took an hour and 45 minutes to clear out.
You got other guys have anything to add?
No, I mean, this was pretty smooth, and even though yes, there was a few hiccups. I mean, I have been encountering a lot of queues lately. It's kind of like, oh my gosh, there's a queue. Like, what's a queue? What? Why? And then I'm like, oh yeah, because people are playing the game. And then you go to the zone line and you see, oh, there's 100 some people here and 100 some people there. And it's kind of like, when I see that, then I'm like, everything's fine. It's pretty good that the game's doing well.
Yeah, I guess the only thing that I would talk as a negative of this whole early access launch buggy fun time thing is that in preparation for this was the instancing of zones. And instances of zones exist in plenty of other games. You have Guild Wars 2, etc. They all do it a little differently, and I think that 14 almost nailed it perfectly, but they did not make it so that if a party member teleported into a zone, or vice versa, in some capacity like that, that you were able to stay together. The amount of effort that you needed to put to get into Kurthus West when you first started to be with a party member was insanity. Because you couldn't cross a zone line properly, which was the only way to determine which zone you wanted to be in. So you were constantly teleporting in and out, in and out, in and out. In other games, let's use Guild Wars 2 for an example, if a zone was filled, there was an overflow server. If you were on the main zone area, you had the option to downgrade yourself to the overflow server just so you could play with your friends. And all it took was a right click and a drop down.
Mm-hmm.
And if they had done something like that, I think the instancing server would have been fantastic. Because if you're playing solo, you have no reason to be in a specific instance of an area. But when you're in a party and you're playing with friends and you want to go do fates, want to go do areas together, run around, be silly in general, there needs to be an ability to do that. And I get why it needed to be done, but I think it could have been done a little better.
I have to agree, because the night that we were streaming, it was, myself, Siri, and Oro. And it was crazy trying to get all of us onto the same zone. And we tried and tried. And it took us forever to do it. It was like, oh my gosh, this is dumb. And then because we couldn't do it, we had to okay, well, let's go look for a zone line. And that was really sad.
We eventually found one.
Well, yeah, after traversing every which way.
And we can talk about the zones in just a few minutes. Did you guys know that there were a few bugs, but the most prolific one that I noticed, that I wish I would have noticed earlier, was there was a way to take advantage of, I guess they were the under level 50 leaves on crafters that you could earn 900,000 experience an hour.
Yeah, I heard about that too late. I was really mad.
My heart cried out loud.
If I had known that, I would have been leveling my crafters so fast.
And as far as I know, there was no rollback on those accounts.
I doubt it.
That's unfair.
So congratulations if you figured it out and you did that. I'm jealous and I'm a hater, but good on you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just go ahead and, since you mentioned it previously, talk about the new zones. Orphan, you've been silent. What are your thoughts on the new zones? Do you like how big they are? Have you found them frustrating? What's going on?
I haven't particularly found them frustrating. I like the size of the zones, and I like the way that they're designed, but I'm not super far along, so I haven't seen everything there is to see. I haven't even gotten the option to fly yet because I haven't found all the aether currents in a particular zone, but there's nothing to really complain about. I think the zones are really nice aesthetically. Speaking, even the snow zone, which typically is just full of snow, is pretty interesting with the landmarks and the way that it's laid out. And yeah, there are some places blocked off because you can't fly, but that's the whole point of being able to fly, so fine.
Theory?
I unfortunately can't speak very much on this either. I took advantage of the instant DPS queues and leveled my machinist from 30 to 50 actually. So the only experience I have of the new zones was basically running around exploring with Kella and Oro, and I don't think that you really get a good sense of that when you're running in a party just for silly and shits and giggles. I think they're gorgeous. I loved Sea of Clouds, what little I saw of it, but I unfortunately have not gone very far in the story. I've been very, very busy in real life recently.
And Cal, we already heard from you, unless you wanted to say anything else.
You know what? At first, I was really frustrated with the size, only because when you're doing questing, the side quests in particular, it's a lot of running back and forth, and then you're like, oh, do this, do that, and you find yourself being, the bitch of Eorzea again. So it sucked. But then after a while, it was, I don't know, I guess I got an appreciation for the zone because I could listen to the music and I knew where to find certain things, and it became easier. And so then when I uncovered all the aether currents, which really sucked, by the way, I thought you could get an aether current and then fly in that area. No, you have to get all the aether currents and then you can fly through the whole map. It's kind of dumb. That's how it works. But yeah, I mean, I really like it. And so when I'm able to now fly, it's like I have an even greater appreciation for things. Still sucks though, because the zones are dangerous. Like, they were not kidding. I've now going up to 55, it was fine, but now that I'm doing quests, if I get a link to mobs, that's guaranteed death if I don't have my chocobo out or potions. It's
Agreed.
bad. It's really bad. If you are gonna solo, make sure that you have your chocobo out. Maybe have it, know a heal spell or two, or bring potions if you can. But it is so fucking dangerous out there. It's like I try and run and kite and hit things, and then I cry because my body's dead.
Is that because you're a squishy black mage?
No.
No? Oh.
I would say no, because I see a lot of other people using their mounts as well, in order to keep alive, and people who are trying very hard to be careful about not pulling links in the zones. And that's my personal experience from what I've seen as I'm doing quests in an area. They're trying hard not to pull more than one because they know it's going to spell death for them.
I was running around on Paladin. Of course, I had Sword Oath on and whatnot, and I had my healing chocobo out, which is maxed in abilities. And I still would not tempt more than 2. Because they hit harder, they have a lot more HP, and those fights will linger.
Yeah.
I was at a point where I was running out of TP, and my friend in real life who plays as summoner, he had his summoner himself, he had Ifrit out, and he had his chocobo as a tank, and was still going down around 2 adds. It was ridiculous.
It's so, I'm a black mage, and at one point I was fighting, I believe I'm level 56 now. I was fighting 2 level 55s that ended in tragedy. I was close to killing off one, but by the time I could send off my last attack, they just wrecked me so bad. It was just like, oh.
Wait, what level were you when you were taking the level 55s?
56. I know that's not much higher.
It doesn't matter.
It really doesn't matter, because they're hitting you really hard, and they have a lot of HP. And so I know I'm doing, decent-ish damage, going by the parses, against some other people, but it's still like, holy shit, this is gonna take forever. Help me. I'm eating more food.
And I've seen in shouts people complaining about this, but remember, we as a player base asked for this.
And in fact, I'm not complaining at all. I'm actually really happy about this, because it makes you think. It makes you kind of be more aware of your situation, which is really good for, end game stuff when you really think about it. I mean, if you're having to get mobs and kite them and not run them into other people and not die, it's important skills to have. So I think it's good.
Have you noticed the absurd amount of quests in each zone?
Yes.
Did you notice that as you do them, they unlock more?
Yes. And I cry.
Did you further notice that they bait you by giving you relevant gear?
Yes, they do. And I cry more. It is like an endless stream of tears because I thought, oh, I'm done with quests in this zone. This is the last one. This is the last one. And then I pop open my map and then it seemed like 20 exclamation points showed up. And I'm like, whoa.
I don't know, call me crazy, but that sounds really awesome.
It is pretty awesome.
It is.
No, go ahead, James.
The problem is, and I noticed it first in Moghome. If you haven't been there yet, enjoy the Moogles. You're their bitch for a long time. But oh my god, I hate Moogles. But it's good gear. It's really good gear, and you can meld it. And they give each you can get tank set, you can get a caster set, you can get a healing set. It's all there, DD set. And you're like, once you realize, you're like, oh, well, I'm gonna take another quest. Look, it gives me more gear. I'm gonna do that one. And then all of a sudden, you're doing all of them, and you forgot what you were doing. And I'm way behind in this story because of it.
Okay, so there's a good and a bad side about it. I mean, the good side is that it helps you level up. The bad side is that once you get to your second job, I'm scared to see how long that's going to take because they give you a huge amount of EXP that you don't get in dungeons. So, I mean,
you get a decent amount from your roulettes, which I'm hearing is the way you need to do alts now.
Yes, that is correct. The way you're going to probably level alts is through the roulette, through hunts, through fates. But if you're relying solely on dungeons, don't hold your breath. It's not completely worth it. I mean, yeah.
Well, if you do all your roulettes in one day, you'll get at about 55. You'll get about half of your bar, which I don't remember exactly, but you're in the millions of EXP per level.
Yes.
If you do in retrospect, or after 55, you need to run a dungeon 5 to 7 times to get a full level.
I don't know, because it seemed like how many times did I did it today? I did it 1, 2. I'm at 56. I probably did it 5-6 times, and yeah, I feel like I'm nowhere close to 57. And instead of just doing more dungeons, I'm just doing sideline quests just so I can get the EXP to help me along because I'm like tired of doing the Airy.
Well, you're in luck because, when you unlock flying in a zone, you get even more quests.
Yes, you do. It never ends.
It goes on and on, my friend.
Which I'm happy about, but then, like, the OCD part of me is like, it's not stopping.
Moving on from this, there are, people complaining about terrain issues and having to jump in, things being hidden and difficult to navigate. I'll sum it up by saying they're making you earn flying and you'll appreciate it. On top of that, I've noticed that everyone learning to fly in the zone has no impact on the ground. I still see people up in the sky and down on the ground. So I don't think our game will end up suffering as much as maybe WoW had.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Just hitting on your point about the terrain. Yes, there's at least one frustrating wind current that you have to find, but it's not that bad. Even though I made a lot of noise in TeamSpeak a few nights ago, It's not that bad. It's frustrating at the time, but it's not that bad. It's okay. Breathe.
Let's go through this quickly, and we'll go down one by one. Most of us have had a chance to play with the new jobs. So we'll start with Orphan. What new jobs have you unlocked and played a little bit of, and what are your thoughts of now that you've interacted with them?
I've unlocked all the jobs, and I'm currently enjoying playing Machinist. I haven't played the other two yet, but having fun with that.
I've also I've only unlocked Machinist, and I've only done the level 30 quest. It's a very interesting how the reload function works to where I at least felt I was actually reloading my weapon, like you kind of would in real life with a shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt very interactive. And there's a lot of hate out there for the knockback move that Machinists have. So I don't see it being an issue for me because I've seen white mages deal with it and use it properly. But it's not a part of your rotation, folks.
No, it's not.
Siri, what have you unlocked and what have you played?
I've unlocked all three. That was actually pretty much the first thing I did. Played a little bit of Dark Knight, did the first intro quest. It's interesting so far, but I already have a paladin that's capped out, so I'll go back to it later. Astrologian, I think is...
Did you poop sock? Did you just do a South Park episode where you had a bedpan and just powered it all the way to 60?
Oh, no, but sorry. When I say cap, I mean 50. I keep forgetting that we can open to 60 now.
I didn't know you were like that.
I did get my Machinist to 50, though. Basically, I took that Friday off and did nothing but play all weekend.
Now, did you do it the cheesy fate grinding, or did you learn the mechanics in dungeons?
Pretty much dungeon. I maybe finish a level here and there with fates because I didn't want to actually... if I was 39 or whatever, and I was to sliver away, I'd go do fates and finish up the level, then go do my quest. I wouldn't be trapped in a dungeon, itching to go see what happens next. But the Machines is actually a lot of fun. I think the rotation requires a lot of finesse now. The reload mechanic is interesting because you're kind of relegated to wasting a shot no matter what you do. The DPS is a little on the lacking side, and people are still playing with rotations, and I don't want to say anything negative about it just yet. Every time I look up the rotation from other players, it's changing, people getting into arguments. So I'm going to reserve judgment until I'm actually capped out, have decent gear, and see what happens there.
Calera, what have you done?
I have unlocked all three. I have leveled my Dark Knight to 35, my Machinist to, I think, 30-something? I know it's higher than Oro's, I think, at the moment. I really like Dark Knight. I mean, I still have anxiety about tanking, but my boys here have been like, no, you're doing an okay job. But then I'm kind of thinking, maybe they're just saying that so that they don't have to tank anymore for endgame.
Shh, catching on.
What are you anxious about? Because I don't play with you at all, really, because of our schedules. What are you anxious about?
I don't know, because I don't know. I guess because in my head, it's easier to go under the rug as a DPS because you're either good or you're not. But it's not like there are certain things that rely heavily on your shoulders. As a tank, you're kind of setting the tempo for how the party is going. You get groups of mobs, you corral them together, you get them into a tight ball or a not tight ball, and then just making sure that nothing's chomping on people's heads. I'm really sensitive to how I might be doing, how I might be perceived, if I'm doing a good enough job. I'm the person who is really hypercritical of myself, so it's so
let me tell you this. You and I are similar. You care about your performance, you care about how the party survives. Siri's the same way. Orphan, I don't know I would guess that you're on and off in that department, depending on how you feel. But in general, all tanks want to succeed. But when you've had enough people pull for you, blame you for something you didn't do, you let it brush off your shoulder. And because in the end, you have the power to save them with your vote. And you'll let people die. That's just it. As long as you're trying, you're fine. Don't worry about it.
Which I have. I mean, it was a few nights ago. My leg was numb. In fact, it was really numb and it was hurting. I did not notice it. And I didn't notice it because I was focusing on tanking. It was kind of weird. And then Aura would try and break me out of my focus. And it's like, oh my gosh, the pain in my leg. I can feel it. And then I got up and it was like I almost fell to the face. Fell face on the ground. Fell face first on the ground. Yes, that's how it goes.
But back on topic, how are you feeling the flow of Dark Knight, the skills? Are you having any issues?
No,
or is Grit, annoying you with its animation?
I'm still a baby in terms of being a Dark Knight. And so I'm still trying to get the flow of things. It's at first it was kind of just learning all the abilities and the range of things, and then after a while trying to figure out how to maintain my MP and how to manage it. It's been easier as the more I do it. Like the last party I did was with Siri and a few of our free company mates. And I don't think I had any MP troubles that time. The other times I had MP troubles, but that particular run, it was like, this is easy. And I am actually excited for more. Give me more. Woo! In terms of how Dark Knight plays. I'm actually, that's probably the second job I will take up to 60 after I finish Black Mage and the main storyline. Will be Dark Knight.
Well, good. It sounds like you're happy with it. I know that a lot of people have been complaining that it's not what they wanted because they wanted it to be OP, raw, in your face. It's what it is.
It is what it is. It's a tank class. I mean, like right now, okay, like the word is that Warrior's doing is the tank of all tanks because they do a lot of DPS and they hold hate and they're able to cure themselves. Okay. I don't know. I haven't played with a Warrior right now. A lot of the tanks as of late are either Paladin or Dark. A lot of Darks in my dungeon runs. And my experience with the Darks is that it's a little buggy. Some of the skills are buggy because I've had a friend who has tried to get hate off of a group of mobs and instead it just sucks off all his MP and no ability went off. And oh look, now the mob is biting on my head. And I'm like, ah! And then I run to save me.
It's kind of hard to be raw or OP in your face as a tank job, though. I don't know how people were expecting that.
I agree. Here's the thing: when you have a good tank, it's because they're environmentally aware. They're putting the job before their DPS, and they're putting their party succeeding before their own performance. When you look at individuals who think I am a DPS who can maintain enmity, that's where you start seeing failures.
And I'm actually hearing this a lot. The amount of times I've had to hear, a Dark Knight say, do I want to stack strength accessories or do I want to do VIT? I'm like, no, you're a baby tank. You do VIT until your gear outclasses the what you're doing. Then you look into doing strength. Your job first is to take hits, maintain enmity. Don't worry about DPS. That's what Black Mages and Machinists and Summoners are for.
And this is especially true because Dark can take a lot of damage. It is... I mean, maybe it's because I'm not at 60, so I don't know what an endgame Dark looks like. At the moment, I'm going from, what I'm experiencing at the 30s and then going towards the mid-50 range and seeing, how other Darks are faring. They take a buttload of damage. I mean, yes,
I've noticed that.
Things that will help them a little bit, but it's nothing like, you'd experience with a warrior. It's nothing like you'd experience with a paladin. And so
is this because you don't feel or you don't think they're equipped to handle it, or because they're not doing something properly, or because they're lacking in innate stats and attributes?
That's hard to say. I'm not going to say, I can't say for certain it's one thing or the other. Like right now, as a 35 dark, I have gear that I farmed, out of Brayflox using now the whole uncapped dungeon thing. And so my gear's decent. And I know I'm still trying to get the ropes of how to be a good tank. I've been popping all my defense cooldowns when they're available, especially if I'm pulling a big group of mobs. But I'm still noticing I'm taking a lot of damage, and my healers are fretting because they're having to heal, like focus on me healing. I mean, focus on healing me. I will learn English one day, I swear. Yeah, I mean, Siri can tell you. I mean, he healed me.
Yeah, I mean, you take a little more damage. What I'm hearing is that basically a dark kind of plays the kind of in between paladin and warrior. They're sitting on that line.
Yes.
And I'm wondering whether the damage output they got is reflected in their hit point pools or their defense, or maybe people aren't keeping up with their gear. That could be another part of it. But they're not in a position where they're terrible. I would never ever say that. I've had fantastic dark tanks so far. I've had some shit ones too, but I think it comes up to player awareness, knowing to pop your cooldown, keeping up on your gear. It's your standard tank problem. Are you VIT based in the beginning? Is your gear up to date? Because your gear is huge. Are you environmentally aware, and are you popping cooldowns?
Given the homogenization of the tank job specifically, if there is a discrepancy, expect a boost to Dark Knight. If it's intended, you will not see it, and you'll just have to learn to adapt. I will end on this point. I did watch a Xeno6 Vex video where he 3-manned Titan hard mode with 2 warriors and a paladin at level 60. And they were doing, for brief moments, about 900 DPS, including the paladin. And throughout, the paladin was out DPSing one of the tanks, one of the warriors. Not Xeno, but one of the warriors, which is pretty respectable.
Yeah, I've heard that their offensive options have become fantastic. I haven't actually had a chance to move up my storyline and levels.
But let's move on. All right, so let's briefly go over content. We talked about side quests, so we can exclude that. Impressions about the storyline, no spoilers. Siri.
I've literally done like 7 quests, so no.
I forgot. Go ahead. I just forgot that you were on Machinist first.
The queue was insane. But I mean, the Machinist story is cute. I like that it continues. I think of the 3 new classes, it feels like the sillier one.
It does.
It's lighthearted, it's jovial. There's obviously some underlying, like, it's kind of like, how to put it?
What's a synonym for spoony?
Glib, maybe. It feels silly. It's lighthearted, but it also touches on the whole like changing of the guard. In that, at this point it was the knights, and now it's the machinists, and we're gonna try and show everybody else that we're actually capable. It's entertaining for certain. I think it doesn't have any of the impact that maybe the Scholar one did.
Keller?
I tweeted that I needed intervention because all I want to do is the main storyline, and I'm only leveling because I need to get access to level 57 to do more main storyline. It is hands down probably since COP the best expansion. I mean, the story is really, 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 really good.
Really?
Really good. And I think a lot of it has, I wrote a blog post about it on Keller.me. I kind of feel that some part of it has to do with the music. Another part of it has to do with just the lore and the story. It's a lot more detailed and involved, and you're using the echo. I mean, you're going to use echo more, and that's a good thing because I feel that was kind of lacking in A Realm Reborn.
Are you referring to the blessing or the echo?
I'm talking about the blessing of the echo. Not the blessing.
The blessing of Hydaelyn.
Yes, exactly.
But not the power of the echo. Okay, I just wanted
not the power of the echo, yeah.
That's what I thought you meant.
And so you're seeing that more, and it's like, oh my gosh. And you're really surprised at kind of what's going on. I mean, and it just makes you want to know more. In fact, I hate to say this, but I was actually looking for spoilers because it was maintenance and I couldn't play, and I really wanted to know what was going to happen, and there's no spoilers, and I'm sad. So I know I can play now. So don't spoil me. I'm having so much fun with the expansion, and I really want Orphan and Ciri to catch up so I can talk with them.
I agree with you. I think that this story has been so engaging and that I haven't done anything else. The pace is very well done. The balance between lightheartedness and it being tense is very well done. The pulling together of all the plot points and bringing them into one kind of path, because there were a lot of loose ends in 2.0. They're all kind of drawing closer and closer and closer. I've really enjoyed it. There's one thing that I'm very disappointed in. I can't mention it, but I think that a lot of people are probably going to be happy, but I think it was a cop-out, my opinion, and that's all I'll say.
Oh, does it have to do with that?
No.
You too. Stop that.
If you have an inkling of what I'm talking about, you already know.
I mean, I don't know the details. I just know it's about later than where I'm at.
That's all I'll say.
Okay. I'm not going to spoil.
The last thing I'll say, because I think I've gone further than everyone here, the voice acting cast has been mostly completely changed, and it doesn't bother me with the exception of Merlwyb. I'm actually very, very happy with the casting. I do have issues with Raban, but overall, the voice acting feels more natural. That draws me in more. And yeah, I'm pretty satisfied with the voice acting. It feels like there's even more than there used to be.
I wouldn't know about the English voice acting. I've heard that there are changes, and I've similar to you. I've heard complaints about Merlwyb, but I listened to the Japanese track, so they sound the same to me, and I'm happy.
Ciri, Orphan, have any of you gotten far enough to hear voice acting in the main scenario quest?
I've heard the voice acting, but like Cal, I listen to Japanese with the English subtitles, but I have seen some of the English voice acting in the trailer, and Merlwyb kind of reminds me of Aaron Soon from Farscape now. I don't know who's doing her voice acting. I don't particularly hate it, but I have a vague memory that maybe it was better before. I'm not sure, but I do like the new Raban's voice actor.
Really?
I like the kind of rough, like kind of gangsterish sounding British person. I think that's cool for him.
Okay,
I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Now that you said that, I have to go and play.
Please go at least watch one cutscene in English. I'm going to hypothesize that they are starting to draw out Alamigo scenario, and it has to do with them being Highlanders.
As in the race, or like
as in their clan is Highlander in their region, so they had to make adjustments, maybe lore-wise, because they pay attention to small details. That's at least why I've reasoned it out to be okay with it.
If you've ever watched like Lock, Stock, and Smoking Barrels, how could you not like that voice? It was like fucking cool.
I have not watched either one of those.
I have no idea what you're talking about, but
That's just one movie. All those words. It's the name of one movie. The British crime heist movie.
okay.
Come on, guys.
They've changed voice actors for like Kingdom Hearts, so they used to have those high profile ones, and then oh no, we no longer have David Boreanaz, I think his name is, the angel guy, the
Don't need 'em.
grrr face.
Don't need them.
Yeah, we don't need him.
No. So for me, I started listening to the English actors, and they were okay, nothing great. And then I swapped the Japanese actors about 2 patches back, so I haven't heard too much of the new changes. But I've been meaning to go back and listen to whatever scenarios I've actually unlocked. But have heard rumor that David Warner's involved with the English side, so I need to listen to that.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I still prefer the Japanese voices by far.
But this is motherfucking Ra's al Ghul.
But from what I've heard from the English side, it's not that bad.
Yeah, I've heard it's a major step up. I've been meaning to sit down and listen to it, but I only have 3 cutscenes open, so yeah. I don't have much to listen to.
If anything, the what's her name? Kan Isena? Isena, she sounds dead. That's the only complaint I have. She just sounds dead. It's like, I think they could have done better with that.
I'll have to listen to. I have no.
There's
no idea.
no emotion in her voice whatsoever.
She's supposed to sound kind of.
I think
weak.
If you get to a certain point in the story, you might be able to will yourself into understanding why she sounds that way.
I don't know. It's just very unsettling listening to her. It doesn't sound that way in the Japanese version, at least not to me. So
I'll just say that she actually gets a chance to do something, so you'll be able to observe her behavior directly, and it might help.
That's good, because she's my least favorite of the Grand Company leaders. I can't stand her. I'm like,
what is she ever
boring
do?
To me.
What is she
She's
doing?
Always been boring to me.
Because she doesn't do anything.
Yeah, but to say I can't stand her, I mean, it's like she pushed a baby off a building or something.
My first character started in Gridania, and so I had to listen to her whine and complain about the Green's wrath and the 12's wood, and I was like, oh, shut the fuck up! I don't give a shit.
Wow.
So then when I started in 2.0, when I remade my character here, I made damn sure to start in Old DOS. I was part of the Sultanate. Because, yeah.
I'm sorry, that's really funny.
I'm a dork, I'm sorry.
No, I think that's really adorable. I love you.
Anything else related to storyline or other content from Heavensward? Or anything else you want to say about anything?
If there's something that's really important, it's the music in the, not just the battles, but the zone music.
Oh my god, yes.
It is so beautiful. I mean, I can't wait for the CD to come out. I plan to get it immediately when it comes out, but it makes me, think about other Square Enix games, and it almost makes me want to play them again, just because it's bringing so much nostalgia. And I mean, I didn't think that it would do that to me. Like, I was not anticipating being brought back to other Square Enix games or Square Soft games by just listening to the music. It was really nice, and it was kind of like surprising and pleasant.
Yeah, like everything in Sea of Clouds evokes this kind of overworld Final Fantasy III feeling. Like that kind of wind song, is that what it's called? I forget the main theme.
Mm-hmm.
The do 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 do.
Well,
like kind of, it's like hidden back there in the notes, and I can hear it in the back of my head, and I can't get it out whenever I'm in that zone.
I know for me, the battle theme is reminiscent for me of Kingdom Hearts, and then I think it's the Dravanian Forelands. I think It kind of reminds me of Final Fantasy VIII music. And so it's like, even though Final Fantasy VIII isn't my favorite game, I'm almost compelled to play it.
It has some of my favorite music, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I'm weird.
Well, okay. So we're drawing towards the end. We'll start with Orphan. What are one or two things you love, and one or two things you hate in general?
That's not a question to ask me because I just roll with things the way they are. I haven't found anything that I really hated, but I haven't had as much experience with the game as everyone else. I'm enjoying what I'm doing so far, and it's just questing and doing quests and leveling up. And other than that, there's like really nothing I can say. I'm enjoying playing the machinist job right now. I know that some people are having issues with how it plays, but to me, like, it's kind of satisfying in a way, especially with the way that the abilities interact with each other. It's kind of like you are directly excuse me, kind of like you're directly affecting the way your skills work with the reassembling and the reloading. And I was a little worried hearing people saying that the damage was low, and I can kind of see how it could be that way, but I don't know, just the way that, like, you hear all the clicks and the things, and you clicking the buttons, and then there's like this heavy boom sound. It's just really satisfying to shoot things with it. So if they like improve it, that's good. If not, I mean, I'm sure people will figure out a way to squeeze more DPS out of it, but I'm enjoying it right now. So
I think it speaks greatly that you are just enjoying it. So it kind of sounds like you're refreshed. Like you were a 1.0 player. Everyone here was, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm finally, after all these years, getting to play a new game because I'm not max level.
Yes. I mean, I feel the same way. It's kind of like where when A Realm Reborn came out, my Black Mage was already 50, and so I really didn't do the grind. I mean, I did the dungeons because I had to unlock them and I had to do them for storyline, but that was about it. I mean, I think the newest thing I leveled was all the way to 50 was Ninja. Was it? Yeah, Ninja was the one I leveled all the way to 50 in A Realm Reborn. Um, I feel just happy. Like, it's just refreshing, and it's like a breath of fresh air, and it feels like I mean, I know this term is going to sound weird. It feels like a real Final Fantasy game. I don't know if that makes sense.
Tell me if this is what you're talking about. It feels like they don't have the burden of 1.0 anymore.
Yes, that's one part of it. Another aspect is that it feels like the story elements in there, the storytelling is a lot better. It's a lot more polished, and it has hooked me in a way where I haven't felt in a very long time, and I'm excited, and I can't wait to continue to play more and more and more and more and more.
You're going to be very happy very soon, I can tell you that much.
I know, I can't wait to get to 57.
Siri?
I think the thing that I'm loving the most is just the options. And I think this kind of ties in directly to what you guys were talking about and not being capped and all the new content and the fact that you have 2 zones to start and the fact that you have story, you can go do story, you can go do fates, and you have dungeons, and the fact that we are now back at beginning and there is no, well, you started in 2.0, you already had a capped character, so you might as well start running top-end dungeons and gather gear. We're not there anymore. We're at the leveling process, and what do you do first? Do you go for crafting? Do you go for battle class? Do you go, run around and look around first? There's so much to do right now, and I'm loving that. And on the opposite side, it's the same goddamn thing, because I have so much to do that I'm crippled with decision. I don't know what I want to do first. And the only reason why I chose to level my machinist to 50 was because the DPS queue was literally instantaneous, and I haven't seen that in forever. So I took advantage of that, and now I'm kind of in a position where I almost feel like I wasted a little bit of my time because I'm looking at my Twitter and we're having this conversation and people talking about the storyline's great and where they are, and I'm sitting here going, I don't know what's going on and I'm missing out and I should probably go do something. And now, of course, in real life, I'm super busy. So with all that decision, with a little bit of time to play, it's painful.
I can relate to that, having just finally, after searching for 2 years for a full-time job, I got it day of early access.
Oh
my god.
Yeah. So I'm so tired when I log on, and that's the only thing I hate. When I do play, I feel like I don't have to do anything. Tonight, before we started, I just flew around a zone, listening to music and observing the scenery.
Like, one of the first things that we did, literally as a group, was let's all get into a group and let's go run around the zones.
Mm-hmm.
We killed things because we could. We were taking a peek at, like, the flora and the fauna and the skybox and where there was a fake wall, where there wasn't. It was just nice having that kind of open, we could do whatever we want, and we're choosing to be silly.
Yeah, I really like that. In fact, I've only really fully uncovered 3 zones. I know there's still more for me to do, and I'm just excited. I can't wait to see more and do more and to explore more. There's so many things to do, and I kind of want to take my time with the main storyline. I mean, this is actually the first time where I'm kind of wanting to just keep going. I mean, other times it would take me a month or so to get through the storyline. This is really the first time I'm sitting here and day after day, the first thing I'm going to do is the main storyline or questing so I can get the levels to do more main storyline.
I have the complete opposite feeling. I feel like the storyline is the only thing that's important to me. I feel like I can take my time with it. I have no desire to grind for tomestones of law and be eye-level insane or whatever it is.
Oh no, I don't care about that either.
And it's like, man, if nobody else was logged in, this could easily be an offline Final Fantasy.
Yes, I completely agree with this.
And I think it's because of the dynamics that the storylines take, because I don't know if this is a spoiler, and I'll make it as vague as I can.
Headphone off.
You don't have to go away. You don't go in alone. There are participating characters that are important in instances that are just for you and not other playable characters. And it's refreshing, and they're interesting, and they're well done.
I agree. I mean, it's. I mean, I think it's going back to the comment I made where it feels like a real Final Fantasy because there's people there with you. It's not a solo adventure. I mean, even though, yes, it's an MMO and you have other playable characters who are with you and doing things with you, when you're looking at, the cutscenes and it's like, oh, well, the person did it themselves, I don't really get that much joy out of it.
Exactly.
But then when you see that it is a group adventure and that other people have helped in different ways and you talk to them and they're like, oh, well, this is what happened and this is what happened. And you're like, oh, we did things together. Even though it's not really together, you did things and it was a group effort. And that's more, to me, of what Final Fantasy is about. It is being with your compadre and getting things done.
Exactly. It's in 2.0, you did a quest that was part of the scenario that got you to a dungeon. I'm talking about the quests, not the dungeons. It's instanced quests where it's not just you, and not a playable character either. not just you, with NPCs, and it felt wonderful.
Yeah.
Totally wonderful.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's like that adventure is going all the way, and it makes me really happy. And now I'm knowing more about. There's more character development, which is amazing. I mean,
Oh God, and you're not even as far as me.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, what there is so far. I mean, there's amazing character development, and it makes me happy. I don't think I've as thoroughly enjoyed myself since. Actually, since 11 COP. I mean, that's where there was a lot of, stuff going on and, adventure and character development. I mean, Final Fantasy 13-2 had that for me. It hooked me, but then it left me feeling at the end. So.
And we won't even have to wait but 3 to 4 months for more.
Mm-hmm. Which is exciting.
Siri, are you back?
I'm listening.
Okay. And you guys, Oro, Siri, you have anything to add?
No, I think that pretty much captures what's going on right now.
Last chance for everyone. Okay. We got an email, and it goes, "Hey guys, I'll keep this short and sweet. Sorry for the whining in advance. I don't know if you've seen this, but check out the difference in Boot Camp versus the Mac client for Heavensward." And the emailer provided an image. He goes on. "We waited almost 2 years for a Mac client. For those who pre-ordered, there was literally no information on how we could get the download until an hour after the game went live. When downloading, a number of users had the download repeatedly time out for them, myself included. Some are reporting they have to use workarounds to launch the game, while some can't launch it at all. They click the icon, nothing happens. Would love to hear your thoughts on this. Do you think they shouldn't have bothered? Should they have delayed it a year or more and made it native, made it in-house?" This is from Akiri Kitamura from Ragnarok.
That's Akari.
Sorry. I did pretty well reading that. Give me a break.
I think that's really, really sad. I did see the screenshot, and I've heard other friends who are having a similar issue, that the performance in the Mac client, which apparently is the game wrapped in a wineskin, is not great at all. That you're better off running it through Boot Camp than actually running it through the Mac client. And I find that really sad. I mean, with everything else that this game has done, it's been a lot of effort, a lot of love, a lot of thought process, and there might be a little issue here or there, but it gets fixed. But for something this big to have an entire subsect of players now having to suffer through performance issues because of whether it was done in-house or not, I don't know, is just silly. If it wasn't ready, even though they announced it, they should have delayed it.
I understand the frustration, and I empathize 100%. But let's be realistic. There is a certain point where business is going to override the passion and the thoughtfulness of our team.
Oh, of course. Look at Batman Arkham Knight that's released.
Oh yeah, which has been pulled from the PC stores everywhere. This, and let's put it in perspective. Gaming in native OS X is maybe a year old. And I'm talking mainstream titles. And a lot of developers don't want to put resources in for a return on investment they don't know how to gauge. And while this is piss poor, there was a request for it, and at least they attempted it. I'm really, really sorry that this is happening, but I don't recommend gaming on a Mac, not for now. I know this is what a lot of you guys wanted, and I wish it went better, but I don't see OS X as a gaming platform.
While I understand your point with that, they were the ones who decided they were going to put this Mac client out. And if you're going to make a decision to do that, and you do it poorly, that's still a mistake on your part. I mean,
agreed. Yeah, and I'm not exonerating them.
They should have waited until they could do it in-house and do a better job. They should have did more quality assurance. They should have did whatever that they needed to do to make sure that they put out a good product. If they were really serious about putting out a Mac client that would be serviceable for people. I mean, to do anything other than that means that they were not serious about it, which kind of a slap in the face to Mac owners, whether a Mac is a gaming machine or not.
Yeah. And I'm not exonerating them. I say that to give my opinion on the gaming side of it, and then to separate the blame from Yoshida and development team and put it on the Square Enix financial department, because they're trying to capitalize. And this would be on Xbox One if they could get it cross-platform. It'd be on Linux if there was a demand. I mean, they know they have something, and they're going to throw as little amount of money to put it on other resources other than PS4, PS3, and Windows. And I wish you could get a refund. I really do. And hopefully it can get better, because wrapping it in wine and pretending it's a native client, that's really abysmal. It really is.
Because I could just wrap it in wine on my work computer, my work Mac. I mean, I could do that.
Yeah, in fact, I've heard that it runs better wrapped in Linux than it does in OS X.
That's sad.
That's sad.
That's sad.
So we feel you. If you bought another license, at least you can go back to boot camp.
I think that probably is a better choice. I mean, it sucks because it's like, well, but I don't know. I mean, there's nothing that I could say, because I mean, what they did is just stupid. That's plain and simple. It's stupid and it sucks.
And it's unacceptable.
I mean, yeah, it's unacceptable, but it's done, and the only thing we can do now is
hope that they actually take the time to redo some of it.
Which I don't.
And don't blame
doubt that.
Yoshida. I think it's out of his hands.
Yeah.
I guarantee it is.
I think he wanted it to be on the Mac, but as far as the development of how it went about, maybe, who knows? I honestly don't know how the Japanese developers work. I know that I remember talking to a friend, I think it was Frey, and that things are a little bit different there than they are how they're done, here. And so maybe they don't have the capabilities to do it more in-house. Maybe they just tossed it to someone else. Who knows? I wish I did.
Here's what I think it happened. We know that the engine and everything, all of the development work was done during 1.0. Then they worked on the content and so on and so forth. They don't really have time for the core developers to take on more tasks and keep everything going. So that's why they, the Korean version is handed off. The Chinese version is handed off. The Mac client is handed off. And they're cash grabs. They're honestly cash grabs. Mm-hmm. If they could do it with their team, they would. But they can't maintain the update process, the content implementation, and also develop all that in-house. They just can't.
It couldn't be anything but a cash grab, because why would you just wrap it in wine and release that as an official client? That's just kind of ridiculous.
You might as well have just sent them a case with a GameCube game in it with Sharpie written Heavensward, as far as I'm concerned. Anybody have any final thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, it sucks, but yeah, not much to say.
Undo.
Yeah, there's not much you can do. I mean, I'm currently playing on a PS4 and a PC, so it's like Mac stuff is out of my realm of knowledge.
Okay, well, that about wraps it up for episode 122, the first episode of our season 3 in Heavensward. If you want to contact us, and I know you do, have any questions on the show? No? Well, make one up, because we want to hear from you. Either way, email us at podcast@zantetsuken.net. You can also talk to us and generally say anything you want at SIBXV on Twitter.
Nope.
And you...
No.
SBXIV?
There you
Sequence
go.
break. Isn't that what I said?
No.
You said SIBXV.
Well, I read that email pretty well. You can follow me if you want grammatically incorrect, incoherent blobber on Twitter at Shinomori, SHINAUXMOURI. And that means it's shameless plug time. Keller?
You can follow me on Twitter at CALAERA. I know that we have tweets and a few emails asking about our Patreon and being able to financially give us, help support us. I'm trying to think of words. I fail English. We are still working on that, playing the game and me being in bed, not being able to really think clearly. I am now. So hopefully I'll probably just do it since Oro has been really busy lately. So you can expect, if you are, we hope, I have my fingers crossed that we'll get $1. Give us $1. Please give us $1. Please. You'll see it soon. It'll be on Twitter. Yeah.
And here's the thing. We're very, very, very humbled by the fact that you're reaching out and telling us that you want to help. What's taking so long is we are trying to set up a model for Patreon where we can provide things back so we can show you appreciation. But instead of just haphazardly throwing it up saying, oh, you can give us money, we want to set up things that will provide you incentive and to know that your money is going somewhere and making it coherent. So it'll happen, and we do appreciate it. Right, Cal?
Sort of like that, yes.
Sort of like that?
Sort of like that. I mean,
something along those lines.
Sadly, we have 3 milestones, and then we were the people who were in that call were like, there's no way we're even gonna get 55. and then we were like, so then someone posed a question, well, what if we get more? And we're all quiet, and we're like, we don't know what we're gonna do because it doesn't seem
scary.
possible.
I tell you what you do is you just do that when you get there.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna figure it out as we get there. Right now, we would just be happy if we could just get a little bit of help with our hosting fees because, we have some other financial obligations to take care of, so we're hoping just for a little bit of a foot up, if you can.
And there'll be more information shortly.
Yes.
Siri?
Please look forward to it.
Let's please look forward to your humble brag. Hi.
I'm sorry. You can find me on Twitter, CIRRISIAN. You can find me ramble about alcohol and silliness and vent about my own stupidity about the Steam license key and the Windows license key, and oh god, that was a terrible debacle. Please ignore all of those angry rage tweets. I am so sorry, all of you followers.
Is your fiance gonna play?
She's gonna log in soon.
Yay!
She's still a little salty, but we got it taken care of. So everybody, remember that if you have a Steam edition, that you actually buy a fucking Steam edition Heavensward, or you will fuck yourself over.
But, they did tell you multiple times.
We kind of forgot. It was weird because she doesn't play through Steam. It's weird.
It's done. It's kind of like that Mac client.
Yeah, let's just say Siri's a dumb. Come follow me on Twitter. You can see more dumb.
Oro?
Takomichi, HAKOMICHI. There you go. That's all you need to know.
He behaved. He kept his word.
What?
There's still time, Oro.
Time for what?
Come on, do it.
Nope,
You can misbehave.
He's behaving. He kept his word. No one knows it, but he was misbehaving on Twitter.
Why are you telling this? This is not podcast.
This is the Maury Povich XIV show.
You are the daddy. I'm sorry.
I mean,
Not
because
the day to dance.
everyone knows that you're the miscreant, and so
Who lives in a pineapple under the sea?
Oro Fin Pants.
There.
There, now that I've ruined everything. Thank
Goodbye.
you for listening. Goodbye.
goodbye.
Farewell.
Goodbye,
I'm not
everybody.
sure if
Bye-bye.
you're going to see certain people in the next episode. You may or may not find them.
Looks like you're gonna die, Shinamori.
It's
Sucks
been a
for you.
pleasure, folks. Good night.
Night.
Bye.